Have you ever noticed how the people who are the loudest critics of women's sexuality often have skeletons in their own closets? That's projection at work. And on Spice Station today, we explore why embracing our inner whore can be an act of resistance and reclamation. I am your host, Igbo Spice, and you are now listening to Spice Station.
Super spice.
Projection is a psychological defense mechanism where people attribute their own repressed desires, fears, or guilt onto others. And slut shaming is the condemnation of women for their sexual expression, often, if not always, stems from deep seated discomfort with sexuality itself. It's why someone who secretly struggles with their own sexual desires, homophobia, might feel compelled to judge and control others. Now, in most societies, like the one that I grew up in, young girls are taught that their value is tied to purity, while boys are encouraged to explore their desires, even though, who are they going to explore these desires with? Chair. And neither would be incorrect, except this double standard sets the stage for a culture that polices the bodies and choices of just one of those groups. Now, the reason why something as small as promoting purity in only one gender is so detrimental is because of the bigger picture. That is grape culture. And you know what I mean by grape culture. I don't want to say the word because I don't know if it's allowed on YouTube. But grape culture particularly normalizes sexual violence and places the blame on the victims. And when we slut shame women, we reinforce the idea that a woman's worth is tied to how much or how little she expresses her sexuality. Now, when society polices women's sexuality while excusing men's violence, it creates a world where consent is blurred and women's bodily autonomy is continuously undermined. Now, I stumbled upon a quote on Twitter or X or whatever from an account called Orphic Incident. If you're into esoteric like content knowledge, you should definitely follow her. But the quote is by a Hungarian writer called Bella Hamvas on his idea of whorishness from a book called The Philosophy of Wine. So he writes, at such times she is at her most fragrant, her kisses at their most ardent. She shakes her rumpled mane of her hair deliriously. Her skirt rides up, but she does not notice, nor does anyone else. Once white hot, this whorishness has nothing to do with men. But then it is the intoxication of impassionated self sacrifice. In other words, religion. Canvas describes whorishness as the essence of a woman's power, her ability to seduce, to be desired, to revel in pleasure without shame. According to him, this state isn't about seeking validation from men. It's about embodying one's fullest. Oh, it's about embodying one's fullest, most passionate self. Ancient cultures understood this. Sacred prostitution, the divine feminine, and goddess worship all honored the erotic as something powerful and holy. But Puritanism, censorious, critical moral beliefs erase this, turning sexuality into something shameful. And it's not just that it's shameful, anything other than a woman submitting to a man sexually is low key heavily criticized by the powers seeking to control us. And when we reclaim our sexuality, we aren't just rejecting puritanical control, we are reclaiming power that was stolen from us. Because we cannot deny that our power, that is the power of women comes from the complexity of our identities. And I love how in the Bible, Solomon's mother was named Bathsheba and his greatest lover, Sheba, or how Mary, the mother of God, and Mary Magdalene also had the same name. Not to mention that there's that scene where Mary Magdalene uses her mane to bathe Jesus's feet with perfume oil. Like, God forgive me, but what is sexier than that? But this, like, Bathsheba, Sheba, Mary, the mother of God, Mary Magdalene, is a metaphor for our phases, like the moon. Woman as the mother and woman as the lover, each of which cannot be denied for fulfillment's sake. So, what does this mean for us today? It means embracing our desires on our own terms without fear of judgment. It means rejecting the idea that sexual expression makes us less than, and instead recognizing it as a source of power. Women's autonomy has always been a threat to oppressive systems. That's why controlling our bodies, whether through laws, shame, or violence, all of which exist concurrently with each other, has been a core tool of patriarchal and, dare I say, religious rule. When we women own our sexuality, when we see our pleasure as sacred, then we step fully into our power. That's when the true liberation begins. Of course, not for free in this economy, obviously, but treat it like how you would lighting a candle on like a dark romantic night or pouring perfume oil over your thighs after a warm shower. As Bella Hamva said, what can show her at her most debauched may also, for that very reason, be, when good, something almost verging on the sacred. Thank you for listening to Spice Station this week. If this episode resonated with you, subscribe, share it, and leave a review or a comment. Join the conversation by sending us an anonymous message at youngnollywood.com/podcast or reach out to us at spicestation@youngnollywood.com. As always, be reckless about your self-preservation. See you next time.